Hi, today we're going to talk about Luca Guadagnino's Challengers, which I know was so 2 weeks ago, but in my defense, I was busy moving from one hemisphere to another. Hello from what was previously shot in Toronto and now currently shot in Singapore. Hello people, welcome to the Republic. Challenges is Luca Guadagnino's latest movie. It's categorized apparently as sports comedy, which is not something I knew going into the movie. Like, I wasn't expecting a comedy, which is good because I didn't fucking laugh anyway. I was expecting a sports drama with a hint of spice because of that very famous and overtly advertised threesome scene. It was a strongly giving bathwater drinking scene from Saltburn in terms of the marketing approach, kind of building that scene as its entire focal point. And much like Saltburn, I was disappointed. Do not give me spice, do not promise me spice, and then not actually give it to me, you fucking tease. Cinema in recent years has gotten a lot less sexed up, by which I mean it has a lot less explicit sex scenes. The approaches when it comes to sex is like you don't really see much sex anymore when it comes to movies. TV is a whole different ballgame, and the approaches of it usually is just like there's a lot of like close-ups, there's a lot of like this, you know, camera operating that goes close and a lot of quick cuts, but not so much explicit sex. And there's a softer, more artsy approach almost to the in terms of direction to these films, which is fine. Art is art. Do whatever the fuck you want. But what I don't quite understand is why people then freaking lose their minds and think that this is so sexed up. Like this is the thing. Like this is like so scandalous. Like it's fine. Okay, it's fine. It's chill. Breathe. And also, what I am confused at, or rather, what I have been asking myself is this hype driven by moviegoers whose bar for sex and scandal is so low now? Or is it really just another example of a successful marketing campaign who is then just taking one scene that they know will go the most viral and then building their entire marketing around it? Like, bit of column A, bit of column B? Like, is it moviegoers who are hyping it up and making a mountain out of a molehill? Or is it just marketing playing up the hype and capitalizing on whatever little bit of spice they can find in the movie? The point is, if you make one scene the marketing point of your entire movie, it makes me wonder if you think only that one scene matters, and deep down, you know your movie's not very good and it's not offering much. Yes, it's the oldest trick in the book. Ray, don't you know sex sells? Yeah, but you're not even giving it to me. You're not even giving me the sex. At least if you gave me the sex, I would excuse it, but you're not. You know, even in Saltburn's case, you're not getting much sex. You're getting a lot of implied sex. You're getting a lot of let your imagination do the work. You're getting a lot of like get your hopes up and then disappointed. But that's not sex. It's horny as hell. You're probably gonna go home and touch yourself. But it's not sex, is it? What this advertising approach, both in terms of Saltburn and Challengers, building it around this one scene, it's giving like you, as a moviegoer, it's like you're being promised Wagyu beef. And you're like, oh my god, yeah, it's gonna be so hot. It's gonna be so great. And then you go, and like you're not getting Wagyu. You're not even getting fucking beef. You're getting chicken. You're getting freaking chicken. And I don't like that. I don't like that you're playing my feelings. I don't like that you're getting my hopes and you're not promising me that. Like, does anybody remember Gaspar Noé's 2015 film Love? This poster shot alone had more sex than both these movies, like supposedly scandalous scene combined. I would say though, while the scandalous aspect of that threesome scene, I keep doing this because it's not actually a threesome scene. Like it's not actually, like they didn't actually fuck. It was stupendously underwhelming on the sex front. It is the visual statement of the entire film. Now, this is not a film about tennis. This is not a film about sex. This is a film about power. What this scene really does is encapsulates the power dynamics between the three main characters. Tashi's the one pulling the strings. It's her decisions, her emotions that drives the plot. Art and Josh O'Connor's character, whose name I'm forgetting right now, they're the ones who are just kind of going along with it. So how this film progresses is that it cuts back between the present day, where you see Art and Tashi. They're together, they're a couple, they have a kid, they're a family. You wonder how that happens, while Patrick's character is all down and trodden. And they are competing in this same little tennis competition again. And through flashbacks, you learn about how the relationship progresses. Yeah, you learn that Tashi used to date Patrick until they got into a big fight. And she used to be like a star tennis player, like really going places, playing for Stanford. And then, you know, had an argument with her man, lost her focus, also lost her ability to play tennis professionally because she hurt herself that bad. Ends up marrying a professional tennis player and becoming a coach because she says all she ever knows how to do is tennis, which is important because that is also who her true love is. Her true love is neither like Art nor Patrick. It's tennis. It's the sport. That's what she's truly passionate about. This entire film is about her passion for tennis and how she got these two men involved. If anything, I would argue that Art and Patrick's true love are each other. And it's Tashi's love for tennis that kind of brings them all together and then meshes them together. But I don't think I need to tell you this. You've probably watched the movie already by now. I'm just gonna move on to the technical aspects of the film, which I usually like to bitch about. And I will now proceed to bitch about its cinematography because I have lots to say about it. I have so much to say about the cinematography about this movie. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you know, like a film should have its own visual language. It should have a language that makes sense. That means it has its own grammar. And the way grammar fucking works is that you gotta be consistent. Like a good film in terms of like visual language, in my opinion, is that like, you know, like Wes Anderson, for example, he's got his famous dolly shots. He's got his like every frame painting thing going on there. He's very meticulous. You know, if he cuts to like a top shot or a close-up, it's to emphasize a certain thing. In this fucking movie, I don't know what the fuck is going on. It felt like they were high. It felt like they were on drugs, and or the fact that they had a different DP every day. Like, I don't know what was going on with the camera work in this film. Like, we have the body cam, we have the 60 frames per second of like sweat dripping off their faces in parts of the movie that wasn't even particularly meant to emphasize anything. It was just there so that you can see sweat dripping out of their face. Like, it didn't play a part in the story. The freeze frame of her fading from the scene and then coming back like goddamn fucking Casper. Like, what was that about? Like, why? And you never see these things come back again in the movie. You never see them happen again. And it's kind of like, why have it even there? Unless it was to underscore something. Underscore like an important story moment or something. But it didn't. And it was shot by the same director and DP duo that gave us Call Me By Your Name. So I know for a fact that they are capable of a consistent cinematography language. So why? What happened here? Cinematography is the visual language of the film. It should be deliberate, it should make sense. Cinematography ought not to be for vanity's sake, but rather for the sake of telling the story. It shouldn't be about the director wanting to seem clever or the DP wanting to prove a point or to show off. And the thing in this case with the DP and director who gave us Call Me By Your Name, a film that does have a cohesive cinematography language, so I know they're capable of doing it. I don't understand how they dropped the ball so bad this time around. I was not a fan of how they shot this movie and the way they approached the shots. Like, it felt really gratuitous for the most part. It felt like they were given a bunch of toys that they could play with. Like, they were just like, oh my god, you want to try this body cam? Why don't you put it on the actor? It's gonna be fucking great. Yeah, okay, maybe it looks really cool, but it's giving me a fucking headache. And also, I don't understand what it's doing in this point in the movie. Like, other than, like, what, you just wanting to look cool? Also, shout out to the focus puller, whoever they are. They probably had a really rough time shooting this movie. Wes Anderson's styles, for example, obviously distinct in this entire pastel color glory, also uses a lot of dolly movements and pans. You know where you're getting into when you're watching a Wes Anderson. I'm not saying that every movie has to be the same. If that is the director's approach, not every director is an auteur. You are obviously welcome to experiment and do whatever, but it should be consistent. When you use a certain shot, like if you want to use like 60 frames per second, like it's slow motion, or you want to like cut to a top shot, it should be because the story is asking for it. It should be to prove a point. That is not the case here. If this film spoke a language, it would be gibberish that a 2-year-old is trying to pass off as English. Looking at the cinematography of this movie is like waiting for them to string together a coherent sentence, and it's like and bam, some shot you only see once in a movie and then never again, and it really feels that there's no rhyme or reason from a story perspective. I can't even say it's indulgent on the part of the director or DP, because they did it on purpose. Like, there has to be discussions when it comes to these things, especially if you want to like put a body cam on an actor, or like mount a certain top shot like way up above the tennis court. Like, I just don't understand how the two of them, who has obviously been capable of, you know, just why. Also, when it comes to sound design, I will now play this beat that you definitely know. Trenton Atticus has given us many dope soundtracks over, like, in the recent years, like past decade really. But in this movie, it just felt like they had that one beat going the whole time. And by the third time it's appeared, even just during the finals of the movie, I was like, stop, it's too much. You keep using it, you are over relying on it at this point to build tension, and it makes me think you're being lazy. It makes me think the director is being lazy and he's just overly relying on the beat to build tension, and I'm not here for it. Like, I feel like Luca Guadagnino really dropped the ball this time on this film, pun intended. What, you don't think you were able to create enough tension with the shots and the visuals, so you needed to overly rely on the beat? Also, why the same beat over and over again? It was sickening by the time you reach the climax of the movie. Repeating the same musical motif again and again in the name of building drama just means you've exhausted it before the climax. And you had Trent and Atticus at your service. Like, you know they're capable of so much more, so why not just ask? Or did something happen there? Like, it was just really overused, and in my opinion, one of the biggest flaws in the movie. Like, how can you collaborate with Trent and Atticus Ross like this and completely waste it like that? Like, I just really expected better from you, Luca. I really did. I do want to say though that in terms of writing, like the way the screenplay was structured, like it was good. I mean, I can't say I was like, whoa, blown away. Maybe I should have been, but it was good. It was decent. It was good. Like, yeah. Callback of the tennis ball in the middle of the racket thing, from their past to then present day in the film, to indicate that he's fucked his wife. Yeah, obviously works. It's clever, but it's not overly so. It's to be expected of a screenwriter of Justin's caliber. So, like, I feel like he's hit expectations there, but not necessarily exceeded it, in my opinion. I wasn't wide awake, but it was good. Credit where credit's due. Two last little gripes is that, one, I don't know if it's the cinema that I went to, but the levels were, for this movie, like, were really all over the place. Like, the sounds were like really loud and really low, and sometimes the voices weren't really good. So it makes me feel like it was a sound mix issue. Really don't like it when people forget about sound. Really felt like they didn't pay enough attention to the sound aspect of this movie, both in terms of score, sound design, and sound mix. But again, with sound mix, I just want to stress it could just be the theater that I was in. And that really bothers me as somebody who who believes that sound is 51% of film. And another thing is just this weird boxer plaid pants they keep putting Josh O'Connor in. It's just like they really wanted to stress that, oh, he's the bum. Like, costumes was just like, we need to make sure people know that he is the loser. He lost out on Tashi and he's sleeping out of his car. So what better way to do that than to keep putting him in plaid boxer pants? Okay, costumes. Also, very subtle product placement in terms of is it subtle though? I don't know. I don't know if it was. I don't know if this was obvious to you guys, but it was to me that Uniqlo as a brand was very front and center. It almost felt like there was a representative from Uniqlo behind the color shirt going like, okay, you need to get it like just the right saturation of red, okay? So that it really pops on screen against like the pale blues and the greens of the court. And Uniqlo in Asia has always been a big brand. Like, I don't know how, you know, the Western world feels about it. I'm not a marketing expert, obviously, but it's always been a huge brand in my opinion. And to then see an Asian brand then become so front and center in a movie that is American, or, you know, from the West, so to speak, you know, say, assuming Asia is the East, East meets West, was interesting to me. Was very interesting to me to see it so front and center in such an international movie. So that was interesting, and it makes me wonder if it's going to be more of a trend moving forward for subtle product placements like this. We'll see. That's all that I mostly have to say about Challengers. Hope you enjoyed this review, and let me know if you want me to talk shit about some other movie. In the meantime, be nice to you.